Okay. It says we're recording. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're back.
We're back in business.
Oh my gosh, so much has happened.
I mean, how long has it been since we recorded?
I think it's
a bit.
like 2 months.
No.
Yes.
So since he's been born, pretty much.
Yeah, 2 months. You had a whole baby since we've been here.
I'm like, you guys can't tell, but because I'm wearing a sweater because it's cold outside and raining. But
skinny.
It's better down here now.
Yeah.
I no longer have a belly, and it's great.
I know. And she can drink wine now, which is so exciting.
I have been doing that, and coffee,
Yeah.
I'm back in business,
Yeah.
man. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. So excited.
I know.
And the baby's here.
He's here. He's hiding. He's sleeping. He's like squeaking a little bit, but he is sleeping.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it that way so we can roll.
We can keep rolling.
Yeah.
So I am just so excited to get a life update from you because it's so much has happened. And I just have to say, I feel like I just want to hype you up this entire episode because I've just been watching you. I have no children. So watching you go through this and
like, very stressful.
It is unbelievable what you've like really gone through. I mean, not only just like birthing the child, but then, you've had, there were so many like ups and downs emotionally, and then new baby, and then you still had, your horses and your life and like trying to figure out all of these things. And it just truly is amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's so, so cool. And you got to ride for the first time.
Oh, yeah. It was slow. I'll say that.
But it was funny because I didn't know how this was going to go with you. Like, I didn't know if you were going to be like a strict, like, because some people are like strict rule followers.
Yeah.
And you usually are pretty.
I'm type A for sure.
Yeah. You usually are like a pretty big rule follower, but
absolutely.
You were like, I get cleared next week. Like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
And like,
I rode a week before I went to the doctor and was just like, like I feel fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I made sure that there was someone out there to watch, just in case. I rode the older one, not the baby.
Yeah.
And I mean, he can still be kind of a Fruit Loop sometimes. But
yeah.
It was totally fine. I mean, I got on and I could not make him go. This is my like laziest horse ever. So to be fair, I was like, I chose him knowing that he would be the harder option,
right?
As far as leg work goes.
Yeah.
But I actually wasn't sore the next day, which means I didn't do enough. But I got my fill. For my first ride.
You really were. I mean, when did you stop riding? I mean,
I don't really remember. I wish there was like, I'm sure there's a picture.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I could go back and look.
Yeah.
But I think it was like sometime around like 25 or something weeks.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, okay, if I fall off and he's born now, like I'll be mad at myself kind of thing. Like earlier, I don't know. I just thought of it like earlier weeks and stuff, like before 22 weeks. I was like, okay, it's like pre-viability. So, I mean, people will probably not like this, but I was like, I can take a chance for this. And then after, like I know what it's like to be in the NICU. I know what it's like to have a preterm baby, as far as like from my work experience. So I was like, I really don't want to mess with that. So after 22 weeks and kind of like the 25-ish weeks, I was like, okay, I probably need to like settle down, not jump, do stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, reminder, she is a NICU practitioner. So I mean, she knows all of the things. And I really thought that was going to like, when you had Baker, like I really thought that was going to send you into like a mental just tailspin. But you like, at least in front of me and when talking to me, you like really kept everything together.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there were times where I am like, especially like in the hospital and he was like spitting up a lot or like doing things. And like, I convinced myself a lot that like he had something wrong because I'm so used to like the babies I'm taking care of having something wrong or being in the NICU for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I am still like, if he goes like a day or two without pooping,
whatever.
TMI, but like, I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong with him. Like he's got XYZ disease. But, for the most part, I'm like, okay, chill out.
Yeah.
Steven reminds me a lot, thank God for him, that people have had babies for millions of years.
So true.
Maybe not millions. How old is Earth? How old is like the first human?
I think a couple 100,000.
So maybe not 1 million, but like people have been having kids forever. So it's fine. It's totally fine.
At least tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So
I look like real dumb right now, but it's fine.
No, it's fine. Tell everybody what I got you for Christmas.
Oh my God. So what was
we don't have to like dive
was it on my
this?
Not my honeymoon, my
it was your bachelorette.
Yeah, Kelly. She thinks that the pyramids were built by aliens.
Okay. And first of all, we're not going to get too conspiracy, but
she does believe that.
I kind of like, I don't like fully subscribe to it, but I do think it's interesting to kind of question and dive into those things. But so then we get into these, we were driving to Charleston for her bachelorette party and we got into
7 hours.
Yeah. We got into these like really philosophical, like conversations. And I love space. I think space is the coolest thing. And so I'm very fascinated by it. I like Jurassic Park and like the dinosaurs. Like my husband thinks I'm such a nerd. But anyways, I find all that stuff really interesting. So
she like watches videos on space.
Yeah. Like
on purpose.
I think it's cool. So anyways, so we were driving to Charleston and we just, and Alexis's mom, Bridget, is in the car with us and
she's
we're
in
just
the back seat.
And so we're just talking about like these, how did
it get started?
I don't know.
The pyramids definitely came in, but
yeah. Well, we can get into because it started with visualization. I think it started with how you can't visualize.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about, I think I said like if you could imagine like space and like whatever, like you can't like think about it. And so then we started talking about space and so Alexis kind of doesn't believe that like space exists.
Okay. Oh my God, Alexis talking to us.
Alexa is talking to us and she is rude.
It's not that I don't believe in space. I just can't, like, this is space and this is my brain and it doesn't super connect.
Yeah.
Because I can't see it. And I have a really hard time visualizing things that, like, aren't tactile. And, like, I learn by, like, writing things and touching things. And space is so, like, over my head.
Yeah.
So for Christmas, homegirl got me first of all, she got me this giant sweatshirt that, like, okay, it's not a giant sweatshirt. It's a normal size sweatshirt, but it's giant letters, says NASA. So now I am, like, NASA's, like, biggest fan. I'm, like, all the way, I'm a NASA girl.
Yeah.
And so now I wear it and people
think she's like really into space.
Yeah, which is ironic and
so
also
funny. That's the whole reason I got it. And then I got you the
book.
Yeah, the astrology for dummies. Yeah.
And it
was
I don't think it's astrology.
Astronomy.
Astronomy.
Yeah.
Astronomy for Dummies book. And I would be lying if I said I've read it.
Yeah, I'm sure she's really, taken a lot of time.
But I wear the sweatshirt a lot.
Good.
It's very comfortable.
Good.
It is black, and I like black colors as far as clothing goes.
Yeah,
it is chic.
Chic NASA.
Chic NASA.
I love that.
All the way. Is NASA still going? Did NASA get, like, shut down or something?
No.
Okay.
This episode is gonna really dive into who we are.
Yeah.
As human beings.
Like, I won't even let Steven watch space movies with me at home. He's like, do you want to watch, like, I don't know, Interstellar or whatever? I'm like, oh, do we have to?
Oh my God. I would love to watch Interstellar.
Yeah. You
space
guys would be perfect.
Yeah. Anything space. So, okay. So to like get back to our roots here.
Yes.
So I want to answer this. I didn't tell you that we were going to talk about this because I wanted it to be organic. Also, if you hear my voice a little raspy, is because I got over being sick. Sorry.
She sounded like a straight man.
I know. So we had a comment. We have a listener that commented.
Oh no! I'm so scared, you guys.
She said. So this is Nika Davis.
I'm getting anxiety.
And she said, can you guys talk about how you manage expectations with your spouses when it comes to steep, unexpected horse expenses, vet bills, like having to spend $10,000 plus on the vet? Now, let's dive into this because I told her I promised we would talk about it.
Yeah.
So I felt like this was this episode would be such a great time to do it because, we're catching up. We're doing all the things. Like, let's get really personal.
Let's get into the depths of our relationships and money and horses. That's great.
All of the things. So I'm going to go ahead and put on D&D because I should do that when recording. Anyways, so.
Sorry.
Have you had anything really traumatic while you have been an adult and you have he's making noise. He's okay. He's just dreaming.
He's still sleeping.
So have you had any sort of have your horses or you had to endure like a really big vet bill since you have been an adult? Because I know like you went through all that stuff with Bugsy, but you were in college.
Forgot about that. Well, yeah, but then, like, as far as I have 3, and 1 I don't pay for. He's leased out. Thank God, bless. Yeah. But he did need to have kind of a more expensive scope. So he had to get on a trailer and we had to take him, and because he's mine, and I know that technically leases should pay for, kind of anything that they need, but I went ahead and I paid for the procedure, and so we had to put him on a trailer and take him to a clinic, and then he had to be put in the stocks and get a scope down just to look at his airway because he had some coughing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty pricey. And I think Steven and I had kind of a butting of the heads of that situation because he's like, I don't understand. And he says this like kind of in general, like, we can't afford for you to like give things away.
Yeah.
And so with vet bills and or like having my horses leased out or having other people ride them, I am such a giving person, and I love to share my animals, and I love to share like what they can do.
You are so good with that.
Yeah, I love it. It makes me so happy. And I think Steven, who's like strictly business minded, and I'm definitely like wear your heart on your sleeve, like emotional. Steven's like, okay, this is business though. Like they cost so much money.
Yeah.
And you're like, like you're just gonna like pay these vet bills that like you don't have to. And I was like, okay, but like he's mine.
Yeah.
So
and he was having an issue that was pretty chronic.
Yeah.
I mean, it kept happening.
Right.
Yeah. So I get that.
Yeah. That's kind of a thing that we've gone back and forth about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like I don't necessarily tell him.
Yeah. So
not great advice.
Yeah. I mean, so I kind of feel the same.
Yeah.
Like when this person asked this question, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like we can talk about it. But like, I don't even know if I'm like the best person to like talk about it because like
we just hide it all.
I just hide it.
Yeah. So I think it depends. And like,
this is good marital advice.
Yeah. This is not marital advice.
Not marital advice.
I'm not that far in it. Just had a baby. Things are, rocky, but love him, but
Yeah.
So I will say, like, I think it depends on how you do your finances. Like for me 100%. And Steven, like we have a shared account that all of our money to pay bills goes into the shared account. And then he has his personal account and I have my personal account. And so my personal account pays for my horses and my passions, whatever, shopping, etc., dinners, wine, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Yeah. His goes to things like
cars,
guns,
elk hunting,
like literally whatever he wants, he can buy it. And I don't care. I don't ask questions.
Right.
He doesn't care. He doesn't ask questions about what I spend money on. So for us, I don't really have to tell him.
Yeah, that's kind of the same for us too. Okay, guys, really fast. I have to share this with you because I just saw Ashley Adler's new Palomino stallion. He's 5 years old. He just came to the United States. Y'all, he is the next up and coming hunter stallion. I'm telling you, jumps 10 out of 10, incredible brain. And did I mention he is like a Ken Barbie? So he is a Polish warm blood, and y'all, he is available fresh or frozen this year. If you guys have any questions or interested, I don't know why you wouldn't be interested, to get in touch with Ashley, it's in the show notes. Y'all, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So when Ollie got super sick, now all of my animals are insured. Let me just say that. Shout out Jarvis Insurance.
I also think you should talk about that and like how insurance kind of affected, because I've never since I was in high school, I haven't used insurance on my horses.
Yeah.
So you should talk about that too, and like the financial burden and kind of what happens with that.
Yeah. So, just to kind of back up just a little bit. So Ollie got super sick with EPM in 2023, and it wasn't like the diagnostics were really intensive, and we didn't really know 100% like what it was and, all the things. So we spent a lot of money in diagnostics, and that's probably the most frustrating part, is because you're still like spending all this money, and yet you don't really know like what it is and like what's going on. So the way insurance works is that you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for everything up front, and then you get reimbursed.
Okay.
So, when you pay for everything up front, you are in communication with the insurance company the whole time. But, just like every insurance that's ever existed, they always try to get out of paying for whatever they can.
Yeah.
So now I will say my experience with Jarvis has been super fantastic. Both of my horses, I've used it. They've done a very, very phenomenal job. So I can't say anything negative about them specifically, but all these bills specifically were very expensive.
Yeah, I remember.
I think we were like at the end of the day upwards like about 10,000, like putting it all together with treatment and diagnostics and trailering and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So that was, I think I got like 75% of it back.
Okay.
So that was great. But it's still, when you're a small business owner, and when you are like, I also had Sunny still.
Yeah. You have other priorities to pay for.
Yeah. I mean, and so that period, and if you guys have learned anything about me on this show, is that I am like a do it yourself. I sink my own ship. I don't ask for help. I'm going down.
She does
solo.
not ask for help. It's a struggle.
So, and there's no difference in this scenario.
Yeah.
Like it was, that's why like a lot of 2020 was just a shit year for me in general. It was
so bad.
Yeah, there were so many bad things happening. And so the financial stress of the vet bills was truly terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't even think Frank even knows how bad it was. Like, I truly don't think he even, like, grasped.
He was I will say, like, he was super supportive.
Yes.
When Ollie was sick, you called me at, like, 6 a.m., and for God knows what reason, I answered.
Yeah.
And you were, like, bawling.
Oh, I was, like, hyperventilating.
Yeah, it was not good. And you were like, he's going to die. He's going to die. And I just, like, hung up, ran out of the house, was like, Steven, I'm leaving, bye. And when I got there, Frank was like so freaking supportive.
Yeah.
You and I were going to trailer him there. He was like actively falling down. He like couldn't stand. And Frank was like, no, like I'm not letting my wife drive this horse. I mean, you have a perfectly functioning trailer and truck. And Frank was like, no, like I'll pay for whatever it costs to get him to the university, which is, probably an hour and a half. 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
And he was super supportive and was like, I'll pay whatever it costs. Like, I don't want you guys getting in a situation with this horse when you're out there.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, he was really great. But as far as like knowing what the bills are, I mean, it's kind of church and state.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, and I don't really know why I know why I don't tell him, because I don't want him to like.
You don't want to hear the chirping.
Yeah, but I think both of our husbands are very, very supportive. Like obviously, we get very real on this podcast. There are many arguments that we have about our horses, and that's definitely something as a horse person that I think probably everybody has.
I'm sure.
And so, especially when it comes to finances, I feel like just because they are so expensive and it's a hobby that is
no return on investment.
Mostly.
Yeah,
Yeah, most of the time. And it's really difficult for them to wrap their heads around and really hard for them to understand. But when Ollie was going through all of that, he was emotionally supportive, but financially, like, I know that if I came to him and I was like, I am drowning, which I was, but like, I guess I just like I don't know, it was like a pride thing or a shame thing or a guilt thing, or like, I don't know what it was, because there's a lot of guilt that is surrounded, like, around this financially too, because I feel like
he didn't ask for it.
Yeah. Like, all of the money that I spend in my horses, like, imagine like what I could be doing with it if I didn't have it,
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of guilt surrounding that. And like, not that whether it's valid or not valid, it doesn't really matter, like, to me, because like, I still feel the same. And like, I appreciate, like, I feel like Frank not sacrifices, but he puts up with a lot, because not only am I a small business owner, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that is like so up and down, up and down, up and down. And
he's got like the solid job.
He is the solid,
yeah.
always.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of guilt surrounding that. And then I have this expensive hobby on top of it. And I don't have just one, I have two of them.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's like when we did talk about in that episode of like my drive and my passion. And like, that's where a lot of it comes from, is because I want to make sure that like I'm contributing to our life together and making it better. And so that it's not just I'm relying on him to like, oh yeah, like we'll just use your 401k, like,
right.
Or like,
you pay the mortgage and I'm going to go spend my money on my horses.
Yeah. And stuff like that. So I think that's where a lot of like, when I deal with Frank in general, like, I do my best to make sure and feel to myself that I'm contributing and like doing the best I can,
Talk a little bit about like, it's not necessarily vet related, but for those people out there that kind of buy things that your husband doesn't think are necessary for your horses. So you bought a horse trailer.
Yeah.
And I know Frank, because, we've known each other a long time. And Frank was like, bro, Kelly, no. And when Kelly's a yes woman. And when she says yes, the answer is yes. There is no. So talk a little bit about like how he felt like in the marriage and the relationship.
He co-signed on it with me.
I mean, that's
a big thing.
Yeah. But at first, what was like initial reaction? Frank, I'm going to buy an
brand new off the lot trailer.
Yeah.
Like a psycho. Well, I think the first thing I have going for me is that I had no debt. So I had no
credit.
No credit.
Right.
Well, yeah, I didn't have either.
Yeah.
So when you have no debt, you have no credit either most of the time. So I had no debt. So that was really, I think, the pull for me, was that like, he was like, all right, well, I mean, she doesn't have any other debt. So
yeah, like
he has his cars and like, other things like that. So I had never purchased anything like that before. And so obviously, like, you were with me in that situation where like, I was like, I have been, I don't know if we should ever really dive in. I feel like maybe one day we'll dive into that period of our lives together. When all of that was going on.
Oh, yeah.
But
it was rough.
It was a really rough time. But I knew that I needed to get out of the situation I was in.
Yeah.
And I knew that, and God works in such crazy ways, because if I hadn't have bought that fucking trailer, like,
yeah,
I have
there's so many trips to Athens. She would have been,
it would have been terrible.
Even more poor.
Yeah, no kid. I would have never. I really would have been in the hole at that point. I would have been. I mean, it was $600 one way to get him to Athens.
I know.
So yeah, I would have really been SOL. But so when I was looking, I knew that I had to get out of the situation. And I think both you and Frank were in that situation with me. And you saw that I was like searching for trailers.
Yeah, we looked.
I looked for a long time.
Yeah.
And trying to find one on like Facebook Marketplace that was a good deal. I mean, you've looked
I know,
too.
we went and looked at one together. And I was like, no.
Yeah. And to find one that was safe, that was a good deal, that people weren't charging an arm and a leg for.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, like you would buy a used one and you're still going to have to go get it serviced to make sure like all of the things and fix all the things. And so at the end of the day, I had looked for a solid 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, you
and
did.
I was like, the hell with it. I'm just going to go buy one. I'll buy a new one. And now there was obviously like I bought an Adams Jubilee trailer, which is it's a fancier trailer because it has 2 ramps.
Oh yeah, it's in a walk. You can walk through it.
Yeah, you can walk all the way. Tack room. Yeah, it has a big tack room. Like you could probably fit 2 horses and like a pony in
Girl's
there.
Bougie.
Yeah, but like
she went bougie.
Because I was like, look, if I'm gonna fucking do it, like I'm gonna get the one that I want. You know, like.
You sure did.
And I did.
It is beautiful. And I'm like, damn, I'm jealous.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gorgeous trailer. I have an Adams Jubilee trailer. I think it's a 23.
I don't remember when you got it or what year. But
it was 23 because it was the worst year ever.
It's so nice. I'm like, Steven, can I get a horse trailer? He's like, no.
Yeah.
You don't need one. Borrow Kelly's.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so yeah, I mean, he was, I think at that time, like he knew like the situation and he knew that I was in that. I was so unhappy and, you know, there was something going on with Ollie and like
we really didn't have an option.
I just didn't. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
And he came and he was so great. He came with me. We didn't know how the truck was going to work because the truck is lifted and that's like a whole nother thing.
It's a whole thing.
And like, but it was as if it was made for that truck. And the hitch that we had was perfect because it was a drop down. And he came with me. He signed the paperwork. We bought it. And he hooked it up and drove it home. And it was amazing. And he was, I think that also was kind of like a big, not a turning point, so to speak, but like he was very impressed, I think, by my, like, no, I'm gonna, because I think a lot of the time men feel like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to say this, but like, so I'll never forget this. Like, it's so funny the things that you like remember and like stick out in your head for some reason. But like, Frank's dad had gotten a Airstream.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so he'd gotten an Airstream, and this was before I bought my newest trailer, but I had trailers before and pulled horses before. And I remember he had bought this Airstream, and he bought this like brand new beautiful truck, and he was like, yeah, like, do you think Frank would ever drive my to tailgate to Athens? Like, do you think he'd ever drive the Airstream to Athens?
Like for him?
Yeah, like for him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I was like, I don't think so, but like I could drive it. And he was like, oh no, like definitely not, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember telling Frank that story, and Frank was like, why? He was like, you pull horses. Like that's worse than an Airstream.
Yeah.
And so I think he saw like I think it just impressed him that he was like, okay, like she's serious. Like she's really gonna do it. Yeah. And she's not.
I will say I learned this word watching a TV show yesterday.
Oh God, yes, I love that.
It's like not very appropriate, but I'm gonna say it. BDE.
Big dick energy?
Yes.
You just learned that?
I know. You guys, I guess I'm like old.
Oh my God.
I'm not with the times. I don't TikTok very well. BDE. Like you just like got BDE.
Yeah.
And men who like are, I don't know, who like want a strong woman, they like the BDE.
Yeah.
Like Steven was like, oh my God, I'm so impressed. Like when he first met me, you can drive a horse trailer and you could back it up.
Yeah, I know.
Can, like do all of the stuff. And so it was like with their passions that with like cars and trucks and trailers and all that stuff, it's like immediately like elevated level. And I'm like, I was like, man. If you knew,
I was like, man,
if you knew like all the women that drive like big rigs with like 12 horses in the back, and
it's like no problem.
Yeah. Like the horse world is definitely got BDE if you're a woman in the horse world. 100%.
100%. And that's what I like admire so much about it. It's like, it's so like, and even it comes across in like so many different ways because even Cheryl Sims talked about this. she was like, equestrians are just a different breed of person. Like if you have an equestrian and excuse me, they say that they're an equestrian, like, that they're going to be a certain type of person. Yeah. And
whether it be good or a little crazy.
It's debatable. It's honestly debatable. But, I just think that this episode, I needed this. And honestly, it's just, like, great to catch up with you because I haven't gotten to see you.
I know.
I'm
so glad. I feel, like, so refreshed. I'll never forget, like, quickly. Kelly came and picked me up from the house and was like, we're going to go to lunch. I was, like, having a really hard time. I think it was raining.
It was.
And Kelly was like, I'm going to come over. And she comes over and I was like, let's go eat. She was like, oh, okay, we can, like, order food in. And he was, like, I don't know, 3 weeks old or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're leaving the house. I need to leave the house. Like, drive me.
It was, like, the craziest thing. Because, like, literally, I texted her. I, like, had some my doctor's office is right next to her house. And I, like, fucked up the time and, like, whatever. And I was like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to come over. And she was like, great. I was like, well, do you want to get lunch? Like, because I understood that she was at home with the baby. And when I said get lunch, I meant, like, I can just pick something up. Like, what do you want? And she was like, no, let's go. And I was like, wait, are you sure? Like, she's like, yep. And as soon as I get there, man, she has her shit packed. She's like, here are my keys. And, like, you're going to drive my car. I'm going to sit in the back. And I'm like, oh, my God. And, like, she was just, like, so amped to get out of the house.
I had to get out. And Kelly got me out.
Yeah. It was, like, then we got there and we settled down. And you were like, oh, my gosh, is he going to cry? Is he going to cry? And he was so good.
He was so good. And you were like, get a drink. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
It was like, you were like the same version of yourself. Well, you were like the same you, but like a different version of yourself. You were like,
I was still anxious. It was like horse show Alexis at lunch.
Yeah, but even that, but like it's just so cool to like see you like go through all of this and like figure all of it out, and like you've just done such a great job. Like even coming here today, y'all, I'm coming here today.
It's not a big deal.
I honestly, it was like it's pouring rain. I get into the studio, it's pouring rain, and I'm like, she lives like 45 minutes away.
Is it really that far? No wonder I'm always late.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, and we have our producer coming, we have all these guests, and I'm so worried about her and Baker. And I'm like, maybe just like wait for the rain to stop. Like, I don't know. And I'm like sitting here in the studio, like pacing, because I'm like, I just feel like this is too dangerous. Like, it's just too, and she's like texting me while she's driving. She's like, it's fine, I'm coming.
I was like, I'm already on the way. So I was like, I got my husband's car with the mud tires. Like, let's go.
But like, talk about BDE. You always say that I have the BDE. Like, you're like Mama Bear. Like, let's fucking go.
I mean, I don't know.
Like,
I'm trying.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing it.
I freaked out yesterday because I took Baker to the barn by myself. Like, no mom. Like, my mom lives down the road, and she was busy, and she usually watches him, so I can go ride or like comes to the barn to watch him while I ride. Yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm going, and I like busted ass to the barn. I did have help to get tacked up because I couldn't manage like bringing him in and tacking him up and having the baby, but I just put the baby out by the ring and like rode really fast, and he slept. Thank God, he's a great baby, and whatever. But I will say throughout this whole process, like I could not have done it without you and the help from other people, but I do really appreciate your friendship. And like we've been through different life stages from college to young adulthood to, you know, where we are now. And I think you've been like such a, not even just a role model, because you are.
Well, I don't have children, so don't take after me.
Well, not like a child role model, but like you're just a strong woman in the world. And so you've been like such a great influence on me, but then also you've been like so helpful. You got me out of the house. You're like, she kept calling me no matter if I would answer or not. She calls me every day to be like, hello, are you okay? Let's talk about horses. Like, let's make sure you're still good. So
yeah, I think that's like a true friend when I know that I call her literally sometimes multiple times a day and she doesn't answer. And I'm just like, okay.
She keeps calling, and I love her for that because I know that she's thinking of me, and it means a lot.
I know it's not like personal.
No.
It's just like she's probably like changing a poopy diaper or like even taking a moment for herself or like whatever it is. And like, I'm just like, no, it's like totally fine. Not a problem.
And then when we catch up, we're on the phone for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's great though.
Yeah, it works out perfect, honestly. So, but I love you.
I'm glad we're back.
I know. We're back, baby. Let's go.
Woo!
Well, friends, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Adult Amateurs Guidebook Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the discussion, as always, and be sure to like and subscribe for more real and authentic conversations about the struggles and triumphs of balancing life and horses. Until next time, cheers to adulting and happy riding, friends.